One Question is brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996. Matt, were you at all surprised when you started hearing about how large this UCLA deal was going to be? And maybe, you started hearing about Under Armour or the other big players involved, but was there anything about the end result of the UCLA deal that just went public, whether the amount, the length, or the fine details, did any of that surprise you?
The length did not surprise me. So it's 15 years. So we've seen the most elite schools like Ohio State and Texas. Their recent deals have all been 15 years. So that did not surprise me. That it would be, a record-setting deal also did not surprise me. UCLA's got a huge alumni base, very successful athletic programs, very high profile. The $280 million, I have not actually seen that number in the contract, so I'm not sure how the various folks came up with that number. It's reasonable to me that would be in excess of Ohio State and Texas's deal, but those are also Nike deals, so there might be a little bit of difference in how the numbers are computed. The other thing that we haven't seen yet is the fine print and kind of the perks that are included. There have been a lot of interesting trends recently in terms of the types of perks that schools are getting with these massive deals. I know Texas, as part of its Nike extension, got a guarantee that they'll get a line of Kevin Durant merchandise. Michigan got added to Nike's Jordan brand, again, kind of a very exclusive brand. So we've seen a lot of those sorts of sweeteners. I'd like to see a little bit more about what else UCLA got. I know there's the $2 million in facilities money, I think, each year, according to the LA Times report, but I haven't seen the actual contract to confirm that.
I want to cover both how this impacts the narrative of Under Armour, but I actually want to start with Adidas. And if you look nationally, of course, Michigan goes from Adidas to Nike. UCLA, of course, now has gone from Adidas to Under Armour. On the West Coast, Adidas did pick up Arizona State a couple years ago. They passed or missed or whatever on Cal here in the last couple of months. But how does this UCLA deal impact Adidas, both on the West Coast but in the national picture?
Adidas obviously probably had a bid at some point to keep UCLA and probably wanted to do that. The numbers likely just escalated to the point that Adidas backed away from the deal. They have lost some schools, including the ones you mentioned, also Notre Dame, Tennessee, Wisconsin, but they've picked up Arizona State and Miami. Mark King, head of Adidas North America, has told me he wants to double the number of university partners with which they work. I think they will look geographically and see, where in the country do they need to pick up deals. The West Coast would be one of those markets now. The Northwest, they don't have many schools here. But the rest of the country, they're doing okay. They have Indiana in the Midwest, Arizona State in the Southwest. They picked up Miami and Florida. So they'll continue to bid on deals as well.
So let's turn our attention a little bit to Under Armour. And Kevin Plank actually said in an interview yesterday with Colin Cowherd that internally they had a discussion about how large this financial commitment was, this $280 million. Even though you haven't seen it in print yet, that's certainly the number that we're hearing in public. Or if they were going to take monies and apply it to a couple of different brands around the nation. Obviously, we know the decision they've made. But could the amount of money for Under Armour that they're committing to the Bruins impact how they move forward in college athletics? Or is Kevin putting it out there in terms of a CEO-type message of fiscal responsibility? Will they continue to push?
They'll continue to be aggressive, but I think he's right that these deals are getting so large now that sportswear companies are being a little more strategic about who they partner with. So look at Nike as an example. They essentially let Arizona State and Miami go to a competitor. Nike is the biggest player in the industry. They're roughly twice as big as Adidas. So they could have paid more and kept both of those schools. But they saw reasons to let them go and to focus on other schools. We've also seen with Nike that they have extended the deals of some of their most elite programs well ahead of when deals expire. So Florida, Florida State, Kentucky, those deals were not set to expire anytime soon. But those are some of Nike's most valuable partners, so they've gone and extended them well out into the future. So the same is true of Adidas and Under Armour. So Adidas could have remained at the table for UCLA. At some point, they see diminishing returns as these numbers escalate. Under Armour, now that it has, a very large contract signed, it'll be more careful going forward about who it partners with.
And that's today's One Question, brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996. One Question is designed to give D1 Ticker subscribers valuable insights on how executive leaders in college athletics think about key issues on their respective campuses, in their departments, or within their leagues and conferences. One Question is brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996.